The ARPG act system is outdated. When we take a look at what a lot of new content that comes out for an ARPG tends to entail, it's not like Grim Dawn where they just add an expansion, new area, new, like, they're gonna, I think, add a new, like, ultimate or veteran mode, but for the ultimate tier, so you can get, new bosses or new attack patterns for the bosses, making it more challenging at the ultimate difficulty level. But you don't have to worry about any cycles or seasons or leagues. You can play it right from any one of your characters that you've already maxed, or you can start a new character and work your way up. There's an option there. Whereas when you're playing a game like Path of Exile or one of the other games as a service or live service type ARPGs, you have a league, season, or cycle, or whatever the heck you want to call it, where all the new content is usually at the end game. Map systems, Uber, Delve, or some new end game mode that they came out with. And the problem here is you got to go through acts 1 through 10, or however many acts that particular ARPG has to get to that. And it's every single time. And these leagues and seasons like to be about 3-4 months apart. So you'd say you have 3-4 months, you do it, you do your playthrough, then 3-4 months later you go through acts 1 through 10 again, and 3-4 months you go through acts 1 through 10. And for the hardcore people, they feel that's tradition, they feel, oh, that's how it should be, etc., because that's how I always did it. But I think there's a better way you can do that while also adding a new form of endgame that I think would add to a lot of the player freedom, player choice, and give the people their way to play it. Some people might not even be interested in, let's say, a new map system update. They might prefer a different endgame system, and they just end up playing that, and they don't want to touch that. And that is taking the act system, instead of just having it be a mandatory linear type progression to get from story to endgame, take all the endgame systems and make it a progression where you can go from level 1 to 100 there. So you can start right from the beginning. And for the story, don't remove it. Rework it. Have it where not only do you go from 1 to whatever the level it was approximately, where you'd beat the story and progress to endgame, have that part, but then add a progression system in that story that'll take it all the way up to the max level. Level 100. It would allow people to replay some of their favorite areas of the map and would give people a new endgame system that they can play with. Some people might like the map systems, but with the new reworked story, they might come back to that and continue playing it. And the best part about this is, so when a new content comes out, they can choose to jump in it, but maybe they don't want to. Maybe they says, you know what, I want to play the story mode because I like that endgame better. I like that whole progression, everything. I like that better. It feels nice. It feels smooth. I really like the story. I'm going to play that. But then the people who are like, I'm sick of the act system. I'm sick of the story. I just want to jump into maps. I just want to jump into Delve. I just want to jump into like Uber Labs or something along those lines. They can do that. It provides another game mode that doesn't feel forced, offers player freedom, and gives people a bunch of different ways to tackle the type of game mode that they want to play. Now, some people are worried about, well, what about the race to level 100? Me personally, I don't care about that, but the hardcore players like that might or will care about that, and then you can just force them to go down their separate system where it's like, hey, you want to compete in the ladders? Well, you got to play the story first. Then just force them down that mode. Or, here's another aspect. You could make it where it changes every league. So maybe you got to get to a certain point in the map system. Maybe you do the map system for one cycle, where that's where it's going to compete, and then the next one is maps, and then maybe the next one after that is like Uber Labs or Delve. I'm just giving you examples. There could be other game modes that you could compete, but having a different ways to go from the racing from 1 to 100 or beating certain bosses first, you can change it up. You can mix it about, and it could be a lot of fun that way. Just adding more to the replayability, more to the competition, more on the whole game, be knowledgeable about the whole game instead of just a certain path that you've already pre-mapped, because that's the way it is every league. I think that would be more interesting from that perspective. Just that there's more, it's going to be more about game knowledge rather than having a pre-mapped plan from the previous time you played it. You know, say, hey, this is how it's going to be this league. And well, this is what you need to prepare for now if you want to do this. So they don't have the whole preparation, you know, from previous leagues. They got to prepare for this one, and they only got a certain amount of time, which, you know, for the pros would probably be not that bad, but it could be interesting to see which one preps better. But anyhow, that's pretty much it. That's my thought on the axe system. I don't want to remove it because I like it having, like, being there as an option. Like Grim Dawn's story I like. Diablo's story I like Diablo 2. And, you know, Path of Exile's story, you know, I like. I just don't like doing it every single time I want to play a league. So, yeah. Sometimes I would just want to jump straight into maps. And I thought, he was like, don't get rid of it. Just change it. Alter it. Rework it. Make it better. And maybe my way of doing it is not the best way. And maybe someone will come up with a better way to implement, you know, that player freedom, player choice type of situation. And the ARPGs will be better for it. I'd like to see that, personally. The better the ARPGs get, the better for me, because I like it, you know. Anyhow, that's it. Peace.